The incredible story of the rancher who came back to life. Thanks to 4 Apache widows, the rancher lived in a quiet and open land where the sky felt very big and the air felt clean. He had spent most of his life working on his ranch. From early morning until sunset, he cared for his animals, repaired fences, and looked after his land. He was known as a strong and responsible man. People in the nearby area respected him because he worked hard and never gave up, even when life became difficult. His days were simple, but he was proud of his work and the peaceful life he had built with patience. As time passed, the rancher began to feel changes in his health. At first, the signs were small. He felt more tired than usual after completing his daily tasks. He thought it was only because of hard work. He believed that rest would solve the problem. However, the weakness did not go away. Instead, it slowly became stronger. Some days he felt dizzy while walking across the land. On other days, his body felt heavy, and even simple tasks seemed harder than before. Still, he tried to continue his routine, hoping that he would soon feel better. The rancher did not like to complain. He was used to handling problems alone. For many years, he had faced challenges by himself. So when his health began to decline, he did not immediately ask for help. He told himself that strong people must stay calm and patient. But deep inside, he felt worried. He noticed that his energy was not the same. His hands trembled slightly when he worked. His sleep became restless. Some nights he could not rest properly, and he would lie awake thinking about his condition. The land around him remained beautiful, but he started to feel separated from it. The sunrise, which once gave him excitement, now felt difficult to face. He still loved his ranch, yet his body was no longer supporting him the way it used to. Even the animals seemed to notice that something was different. They stayed closer to him, as if sensing his weakness. These small details made him feel emotional, but he continued to stay strong in front of others. One day, his condition became worse. He woke up feeling extremely weak. His head was heavy and he struggled to stand. He tried to call out, but his voice was low. That day, he realized that this was not a small issue anymore. His strength had reduced significantly. Fear entered his heart for the first time. He understood that his health might be in serious danger. Still, he tried to remain hopeful and calm. As the days continued, the rancher's body became weaker. He could not complete his daily work as before. Tasks that once felt easy now felt impossible. He depended more on rest, but rest did not fully improve his condition. The people around him began to notice the change. Some neighbors visited him to check on his health. When they saw his condition, they felt concerned. They encouraged him to seek help and take proper care of himself. But the rancher felt embarrassed about being unable to work as he used to. He did not want others to see him in a weak state. Despite his pride, his body continued to lose strength. His face looked pale and he felt cold even in warm weather. He tried to eat well, but his appetite decreased. Each passing day made him feel more tired. He started to understand that his life was at a serious turning point. The ranch, which had always been his place of power and confidence, now felt quiet and heavy. The silence around him seemed deeper than before. In this difficult time, he thought about his future. He wondered if he would recover or if this was the end of his active life. These thoughts made him anxious. However, he still held on to hope. He believed that as long as he was alive, there was always a chance for improvement. This belief kept him going, even when his strength was low. The rancher's condition continued to decline, and it became clear that he needed serious attention. His movements slowed down, and he spent more time lying in bed. The animals were taken care of by others for the time being. The ranch, once full of his energy and activity, now felt different. The change was noticeable to everyone who knew him. During this period, he reflected on his life. He remembered the hard days when he had worked under the hot sun. He remembered the times when he solved problems calmly and made decisions for his land. Those memories gave him comfort. He felt grateful for the life he had lived so far. Even though he was weak, he felt proud of his past efforts. Still, his body continued to struggle. The weakness grew more serious. There were moments when he could not even sit without support. His energy was almost gone. The situation was becoming alarming. People around him began to fear for his survival. They hoped for improvement, but they knew that time was important. At this stage, the rancher was no longer the same strong man everyone remembered. He was a patient fighting for his life. His mind was filled with thoughts about his family, his land, and the future. He wanted to live and continue his journey. He did not want his story to end in this way. Deep inside, he still had a small spark of determination. Even in weakness, he tried to stay positive. He believed that life could change at any moment. He understood that sometimes challenges come to test a person's strength. This belief kept his spirit alive, even when his body felt tired. Though he did not know what would happen next, he hoped for a better tomorrow. The rancher's situation had now reached a critical point. His health was fragile, and his future was uncertain. The land around him continued its natural cycle, but his world felt paused. This was the beginning of a difficult journey, one that would soon bring unexpected events and life-changing decisions. At this moment, his story was far from over. Though he felt weak and close to losing hope, destiny was preparing something that he could not yet see. His life was about to enter a new and surprising chapter, but for now, he remained in a state of deep struggle, holding on to whatever strength he had left. The rancher's condition became more serious as time passed. His body felt weaker each day, and his energy slowly disappeared. The people around him started to worry deeply. They had seen him strong for many years, so it was hard for them to accept his sudden change. The ranch felt quieter than before. The sound of his steady footsteps was no longer heard across the land. Instead, there was silence and concern in the air. One morning he tried to sit up, but his body did not respond as he wanted. His hands felt heavy and his breathing was not steady. He realized that this was not a normal illness. It was something that needed urgent attention. However, living in a remote area made it difficult to find quick help. The nearest medical support was far away, and traveling was not easy in his condition. This made the situation even more challenging. His family and neighbors came to visit him often. They tried to comfort him and encouraged him to stay strong. They brought him simple food and helped him with daily needs. Even though he appreciated their support, he felt embarrassed about depending on others. For many years, he had been the one helping everyone. Now, the roles had changed, and that change was hard for him to accept. Days turned into nights, and his strength continued to decrease. He spent most of his time resting in bed. His thoughts became deep and serious. Sometimes he remembered his childhood when he dreamed of building a successful ranch. He had worked very hard to turn that dream into reality. Those memories gave him both happiness and sadness. Happiness because he had achieved his goals, and sadness because he could no longer enjoy them fully. The ranch itself seemed to feel his absence. The animals required care, and others tried their best to manage things. But everyone knew that the ranch was not the same without him. He had always been the leader, making decisions and solving problems. Now he could only observe from a distance. This change made him feel emotionally heavy. As his health weakened, fear began to grow in his heart. He wondered if he would recover or if his time was limited. These thoughts sometimes made it difficult for him to sleep. At night, he would look at the ceiling and think about his life. He did not want to leave his work unfinished. He did not want his story to end in weakness. Deep inside, he still wished for a miracle. During this time, news about his condition spread in the nearby community. People discussed his situation and felt sympathy for him. Among those who heard about it were 4 Apache widows who lived in the region. These women were known for their wisdom and knowledge of traditional healing methods. They had experience using natural plants and remedies to help people in need. When the widows learned about the rancher's serious condition, they felt concerned. They believed that every life deserved care and attention. They decided to visit him and see if they could help. Their decision was based on kindness and responsibility toward their community. They did not hesitate, even though the situation seemed difficult. The widows arrived at the ranch with calm and respectful behavior. They spoke gently and asked about the rancher's condition. When they saw him, they understood that he was very weak. His face showed exhaustion and his movements were slow. However, they did not lose hope. Instead, they focused on how they could support him. They carefully examined his condition and discussed among themselves. Each of them shared ideas based on their knowledge. They believed in working together as a team. Their unity was strong, and their confidence in natural healing gave them determination. They prepared simple herbal remedies using plants they trusted. These remedies were made with patience and care. The widows explained to the rancher and his family that recovery would take time. They said that the process required consistency and positive thinking. The rancher listened carefully. Even though he was weak, he felt encouraged by their calm voices. For the first time in many days, he felt a small sense of comfort. The widows began visiting him regularly. Each visit included preparation of fresh remedies and gentle support. They also encouraged him to stay mentally strong. They told him that the mind and body work together. If a person keeps hope alive, it can support the healing process. Their words slowly entered his heart and gave him motivation. At first, the rancher did not notice immediate improvement. His body was still weak. However, the widows told him that progress takes time. They reminded him to be patient. Their confidence helped him stay focused. Instead of thinking about failure, he started thinking about recovery. This change in mindset was very important. The widows also advised his family on how to care for him properly. They suggested rest, balanced meals, and a peaceful environment. They believed that stress could slow recovery, so they encouraged everyone to keep the atmosphere calm. The family followed their guidance carefully. As days passed, the rancher began to feel small changes. His appetite improved slightly. He could sit up for longer periods without feeling extremely tired. Although the progress was slow, it was noticeable. These small improvements gave hope to everyone around him. The widows continued their support without expecting anything in return. Their dedication showed strong commitment. They worked together peacefully, respecting each other's knowledge. Their teamwork became a powerful example of cooperation. The rancher observed their unity and felt inspired by their strength. During this period, he started regaining some confidence. He realized that he was not alone in his struggle. The care and attention he received made him feel valued. This emotional support played an important role in his journey. He began to believe more strongly in recovery. The situation was still delicate, but the direction was slowly improving. The widows remained focused on their mission. They understood that patience and consistency were key. Every day, they adjusted their approach according to his progress. Their dedication continued without interruption. The rancher, once surrounded by fear and uncertainty, now felt a growing sense of hope. The presence of the four widows had changed the atmosphere around him. What started as a critical condition was now turning into a journey of recovery. Although challenges remained, the path forward looked brighter than before. This marked a turning point in his life. The support he received during this phase became the foundation for his improvement. The widows, compassion, and traditional knowledge created the possibility of healing. The rancher's story, which had almost reached a dark moment, was beginning to move toward a new direction filled with hope and determination. The rancher's condition was still serious, but something had begun to change in the atmosphere around him. The four widows continued to visit him with calm minds and steady hands. They did not rush the process. Instead, they believed that healing requires patience, care, and time. Each day, they arrived with fresh herbal mixtures prepared carefully from natural plants. They explained every step to the rancher and his family so that everyone understood what was happening. At first, the rancher felt unsure. He had never depended on traditional remedies before. However, he respected the widows' knowledge. He could see their confidence and teamwork. They worked together without arguments, each one playing a clear role. One prepared the herbs, another checked the strength of the mixture, the third supported the patient physically, and the fourth encouraged him with kind words. Their unity gave him comfort. The widows believed that recovery was not only about the body but also about the mind. They encouraged the rancher to think positive thoughts. They asked him to remember happy moments from his life. They told him to focus on reasons to live. These simple conversations slowly made a difference. Instead of thinking about weakness, he began thinking about strength. Instead of fear, he tried to feel hope. Each morning, they helped him sit near the window so he could feel fresh air and sunlight. They believed that nature itself supports healing. The rancher noticed that being outside his room made him feel slightly better. The sunlight warmed his skin, and the open air refreshed his mind. These small changes improved his mood. Even though his body was still weak, his spirit felt lighter. The widows also advised him to move his hands and legs gently. They said that small movements could help the body regain strength. At first, he struggled, but he tried his best. With their support, he slowly began to move more confidently. Each small step was a sign of progress. Everyone celebrated these improvements quietly, without creating pressure. The family of the rancher felt thankful for the widow's dedication. They saw how carefully the women treated him. There was no hurry, no doubt, only steady effort. The widows also made sure the environment remained peaceful. They asked visitors to speak softly and avoid unnecessary stress. This calm atmosphere helped the rancher rest properly. As the days continued, his appetite improved. He began eating small meals prepared according to the widow's guidance. Proper nutrition helped his body regain energy. He noticed that after eating, he felt slightly stronger. It was not a sudden recovery, but a gradual improvement. The widows reminded him that slow progress is still progress. One evening, after several weeks of care, the rancher was able to sit without support for a longer time. This was a big step. The widows smiled, but they remained humble. They told him that consistency was important. They encouraged him to continue the routine. Their words motivated him to stay committed to the healing process. During this time, the rancher began talking more. Earlier, he had been quiet and weak, but now he shared his thoughts. He thanked the widows for their kindness. He asked them about their traditions and their knowledge of plants. The widows explained how their community passed down wisdom from one generation to another. They described how their methods focused on balance and harmony with nature. The rancher listened carefully. He realized that their approach was based on experience and respect for the land. This understanding increased his trust in them. He no longer felt uncertain. Instead, he felt grateful to be under their care. There were still difficult moments. Some days his energy was lower than expected. On such days, the widows did not lose confidence. They adjusted their support according to his condition. They believed that patience is a strong tool. They reminded him that recovery is not a straight path. It can have ups and downs. This explanation helped him remain calm during slow progress. Gradually, his strength started returning in visible ways. He could walk short distances inside his room with assistance. His voice became clearer. His face looked healthier. These improvements encouraged everyone. The widows continued their work with dedication, always observing carefully and making thoughtful decisions. The rancher began to feel more independent. He could perform simple tasks without complete help. This feeling gave him confidence. He realized that he was moving forward step by step. The widows praised his effort and reminded him that his determination was equally important in this journey. At the same time, the widows shared lessons about resilience. They explained that challenges can teach valuable lessons. They encouraged him to see this experience as a new beginning rather than an ending. Their positive mindset influenced him deeply. He started believing that this difficult phase had a purpose in his life. The community also noticed improvement in his condition. People who had once feared the worst were now hopeful. They appreciated the widows' support and teamwork. The story of their dedication began spreading quietly in the area. Many admired their compassion and unity. Inside the ranch house, the atmosphere had changed completely. Where there was once silence and worry, there was now conversation and hope. The widows maintained discipline in their routine. They did not skip visits and ensured that every detail was handled carefully. Their consistent presence made a strong impact on the rancher's recovery. As more time passed, his progress became steady. He no longer looked like someone near complete weakness. Instead, he showed signs of returning strength. Although he was still recovering, the improvement was clear. The widows remained cautious, reminding him not to rush. Through their combined efforts, something remarkable happened. The rancher's body responded positively to the care. His energy increased slowly but steadily. He could stand for longer periods. He could walk with less support. These achievements felt like victories to everyone involved. This phase of his journey proved the power of teamwork, patience, and kindness. The widow's knowledge and the rancher's determination worked together. The story was no longer about decline. It was becoming a story of hope, recovery, and renewed strength. The foundation for a full return to life was now firmly in place, thanks to the steady efforts made during this important time. The rancher's recovery had already started, but part 4 of his journey became the most important stage. This was the time when real improvement began to show clearly. The 4 widows continued their regular visits, but now their work focused on strengthening his body and rebuilding his confidence. They believed that he had crossed the most dangerous stage, and now he needed steady support to return to full strength. Each day began with a simple routine. The widows arrived early in the morning. They checked his condition carefully and prepared fresh, natural remedies. They explained everything in simple words so he understood the process. The rancher listened with respect. He had learned to trust their knowledge. He followed their instructions with patience, even when the steps felt small. One of the widows encouraged him to begin light exercises. At first, he felt unsure about his balance, but with support, he slowly started standing for a few minutes each day. This was a major step forward. Standing without complete help gave him confidence. He realized that his body was responding positively. The widows praised his effort and reminded him that consistency would bring better results. As his strength improved, they increased his daily movement slightly. He began walking inside the room with careful steps. Each step required focus, but he was determined. The widows walked beside him, ready to assist if needed. Their calm presence made him feel safe. Over time, his walking became more stable. This progress filled everyone with hope. Not only his body, but also his mind showed improvement. Earlier, he had felt fear and uncertainty. Now, he felt gratitude and motivation. The widows often spoke to him about positive thinking. They told him that the mind plays a strong role in recovery. When a person believes in improvement, the body follows. He started practicing this advice daily. The rancher also began spending short periods outside. Sitting under the open sky helped him feel connected to nature again. The fresh air made him feel relaxed. He remembered how he used to work across the land every day. These memories no longer made him sad. Instead, they inspired him to return to his normal life step by step. The widows noticed that his energy level was increasing. His appetite improved further, and he could eat balanced meals without difficulty. Proper food helped his body regain strength. They ensured that his diet included natural ingredients that supported recovery. This careful attention made a visible difference. One important change during this phase was his emotional strength. Earlier, he had felt dependent and worried. Now he felt grateful and confident. He understood that asking for help was not a weakness. It was a part of healing. The widows had taught him that teamwork is powerful. This lesson stayed in his heart. The family members were also encouraged by his improvement. They saw him talking more, smiling occasionally, and showing interest in daily activities. This change brought happiness to the entire household. The widows reminded everyone that a peaceful environment is important. They maintained calmness in the house and avoided unnecessary stress. As days turned into weeks, his walking improved further. He no longer needed constant support inside the room. He could move slowly on his own. This achievement was celebrated quietly with gratitude. The widows remained humble and focused. They believed that true success is measured by steady progress, not sudden change. During this time, the rancher started helping with small tasks again. At first, he only observed what was happening on the ranch. Then he began making simple decisions. This involvement made him feel useful. The widows supported this step because they believed responsibility helps rebuild confidence. His strength continued to grow. His face looked healthier and his voice became stronger. Visitors noticed the difference immediately. People who had once feared the worst were now surprised by his recovery. The widows received appreciation from the community, but they did not seek attention. They were satisfied seeing him improve. The rancher often thanked them sincerely. He told them that their kindness had given him a second chance at life. The widows replied that his own determination played an equal role. They explained that recovery is always a combination of effort from both sides. This mutual respect strengthened their bond. Another important part of this phase was mental stability. The widows encouraged him to set small daily goals. For example, walking a little farther each day or completing simple exercises. Achieving these goals gave him confidence. He began to feel that he was regaining control of his life. Slowly, he started visiting parts of the ranch again. At first, these visits were short, but with time, he could stay outside longer. Seeing his land again filled him with motivation. The animals seemed to recognize his return. This emotional connection made him feel even stronger. The widows carefully observed his progress. When they saw steady improvement, they adjusted their support accordingly. They reduced the frequency of remedies but continued monitoring his health. They believed in gradual independence. Their goal was not to create dependency, but to guide him until he could manage on his own. By the end of this stage, the rancher was much stronger than before. He could walk confidently, eat properly, and perform light tasks. His energy had returned significantly. Though full recovery was still ongoing, the transformation was clear. He had moved from a fragile condition to a stable one. This part of the journey showed the importance of patience, teamwork, and trust. The widow's dedication and the rancher's determination worked together perfectly. Their combined effort created real progress. The ranch, once filled with worry, now felt alive again with hope and movement. Part 4 marked a turning point in his life. It proved that even in the most difficult situations, improvement is possible with care and consistency. The rancher was no longer fighting for survival. He was now walking toward full recovery, ready to rebuild his life with gratitude and strength. The final stage of the rancher's journey began with quiet confidence. After many weeks of care, patience, and steady effort, his body had grown much stronger. He was no longer the weak man who could not stand without help. Now he could walk on his own, manage simple tasks, and spend time outside in the fresh air. This new phase of his life felt like a fresh beginning. The fear that once filled his heart had slowly been replaced with gratitude and hope. The 4 widows continued to visit him, but their role was changing. They no longer needed to provide constant treatment. Instead, they focused on guidance and observation. They checked his progress, encouraged him to stay active, and reminded him to maintain a healthy routine. They believed that true healing means becoming independent again. Their goal was not just recovery, but complete strength in both body and mind. The rancher felt deeply thankful for everything they had done. Without their support, he knew his situation could have ended very differently. He respected their wisdom and dedication. Every day, he greeted them with appreciation. He often said that their kindness had given him a second chance at life. The widows, however, remained humble. They always replied that his own determination was the main reason for his improvement. Now that he was stronger, he slowly returned to his responsibilities. At first, he only observed the ranch activities. He watched how the land was managed and how the animals were cared for during his absence. Seeing everything again made him feel connected to his purpose. The ranch was not just property to him. It was his life's work, built with years of effort and dedication. After some time, he began taking small responsibilities. He would check the fences, speak with workers, and make simple decisions. Each task reminded him of his old routine. These small actions helped rebuild his confidence. He realized that even though he had faced a serious health challenge, he was still capable of leading his life. The animals also seemed comfortable around him again. When he walked through the fields, they reacted calmly, as if recognizing his presence. This connection made him smile. Nature had always been an important part of his journey. Now, standing under the open sky, he felt thankful for the land that had supported him throughout his life. The widows continued to teach him about balance and self-care. They advised him to avoid overworking. They explained that maintaining health requires regular rest, good food, and a peaceful mind. The rancher listened carefully. This time he understood that strength is not only about hard work, but also about taking care of oneself. He changed his daily routine to include proper rest. Instead of working from sunrise to sunset without pause, he created a balanced schedule. He divided his time between responsibilities and relaxation. This adjustment helped him maintain his energy. The widows were pleased to see that he had learned this important lesson. The community also noticed the positive transformation. People who had once been worried about him now saw him walking confidently again. They were surprised by how much he had improved. Many expressed admiration for the widows' teamwork and commitment. Their support had not only helped one man, but had also inspired the entire area. Despite all the attention, the widows continued their simple lifestyle. They did not seek praise or recognition. They believed that helping others is a natural duty. Their quiet strength became part of the rancher's story. He respected their culture and learned from their way of living. This experience created mutual understanding and trust between them. As time passed, the rancher felt stronger than before his illness. His body was more disciplined because of the recovery process. He continued the light exercises that had helped him regain strength. He also maintained healthy eating habits. These practices became part of his daily life. He understood that consistency is the key to long-term wellness. Emotionally, he had changed as well. The experience had made him more patient and grateful. He no longer took his health or his land for granted. Every morning, he thanked nature for giving him another day. This simple habit brought peace to his heart. He felt more connected to the world around him. The widows eventually reduced their visits as his condition remained stable. Before leaving their regular support, they reminded him to continue following the routine they had established. They encouraged him to stay positive and maintain discipline. They also told him that true success is measured by how well a person maintains progress after recovery. When they visited less frequently, the rancher felt both independent and thankful. He knew he could manage his life again, but he would always remember their role in his journey. Their dedication had been a turning point. Without their guidance, the story might have ended very differently. One day, the rancher gathered the widows and expressed his deep gratitude. He thanked them sincerely for their kindness, patience, and knowledge. He explained how their teamwork had inspired him. The widows replied that seeing him recover was the greatest reward. They reminded him that life is valuable and should always be treated with care. After this conversation, the rancher felt a sense of closure. His journey from weakness to strength was complete. He had experienced a serious challenge, received support from unexpected helpers, and returned to his normal life. The entire process had changed his perspective forever. The ranch became lively again under his leadership. He managed it with balance and wisdom. He ensured that his workers had proper guidance and that everything operated smoothly. He also made time for rest and reflection. This new approach created harmony between work and health. The story of his recovery spread quietly through the region. People admired how 4 widows had united to help one man return to life. It became an example of compassion, cooperation, and resilience. The rancher often shared his experience with others, encouraging them to value teamwork and traditional knowledge. In the end, his life was no longer defined by weakness, but by recovery and gratitude. The challenge had tested him, but it also taught him important lessons. He understood the importance of community, patience, and hope. Most importantly, he realized that even in the darkest moments, support and determination can create a new beginning. The rancher continued living on his land with renewed energy and appreciation. The widows remained respected members of the community, known for their wisdom and unity. Their shared journey became a story of strength and cooperation. It showed that when people work together with kindness and belief, even the most difficult situations can turn into inspiring success. This was not just a story of recovery, it was a story of transformation. A man who once stood near the edge of loss returned to life with greater understanding and gratitude. And the 4 widows, through their compassion and knowledge, helped create a future filled with hope.